So this is officially my third time filming this video. I've tried 2 separate days filming this, and I just for some reason didn't love the way it turned out. So third time's a charm, I guess, guys. So like you see in the title, this is a Q&A. I want to go over a Q&A as far as ADHD medication because I've gotten a ton of questions about that. But before I do, I want to welcome a bunch of the new people that have subscribed to my channel. For some reason, YouTube decided to put the algorithm in my favor. And we have a bunch of new people here, so welcome. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for trusting me with a sub. I hope you enjoy this ADHD content and that you find some sort of community or entertainment, if anything else. I think it's been about 4 weeks now since I've made a video, which is just crazy. My life has just been sped up for the month of October. Every single day it felt like it was busy and there was a lot going on. So expect more regular content coming out the next few weeks, especially I have a really cool video that I'm working on all about ADHD and sleep and how to get good sleep as a person with ADHD, because I personally have sucked with it, and so I kind of want to try and experiment with it, and so that's something that I'm working on, so that's something you guys can look forward to. But without further ado, I want to jump into the Q&A for this video, so let us begin. Okay, first up to bat, Lauren asks, what happens if you get immune to the highest diagnosis? Never mind. What happens if you get immune to the highest dosage? Thank you for asking, Lauren. That's a great question. What does happen? I don't know. So I don't know a perfect way to answer this because I haven't personally experienced it myself, nor have I met anyone who has experienced getting the highest dosage of ADHD medication and being immune to it. Because I think you can just keep going up. I don't know if there's a limit. The medication that I take, the one I'm currently on, is 20 milligrams of Adderall. Extended release, and I have a buddy who's on like 3 times that, and my dosage has the same effect as his dosage, but he's kind of always been on a higher dosage. And so I don't know, I think it's different for everyone, the amount of medication that you get prescribed to, but I do know that over time you can kind of get used to the amount of Adderall that you're using or whatever the ADHD medication is that you're on, and so sometimes they need to bump it up over time. But yeah, I don't know if that's a problem really, as far as getting immune to it. If it is a problem for one of you guys, if you're watching this and being like, yeah, actually, I got immune and it sucked, you should let me know in the comments. I'd be curious to see if you guys have a different answer for that one. Okay, and part 2 of Lauren's question, she asks, are you planning on taking it forever? As of now, yes. I don't see a near future in which I don't need ADHD medication. It's changed my life for the better for the most part. And I feel like I need it to be able to get through a lot of work days, especially being a full-time video freelancer. So much of my time is spent editing throughout the day. And so I feel like Adderall helps a ton for me to be able to just stay focused and get videos done. So yeah, and I don't see that changing a lot, my career. So I don't see me editing less anytime soon, or me finding situations where I don't need Adderall. So forever, I don't know, but for the next couple years for sure. Just be able to get through my workload and to be able to feel confident and stay on track with making commitments as far as being able to say I'm going to get something done and actually getting it done. Camilla asks, does ADHD medication make you dependent on it? No, it does not. If you have ADHD medication typically does not make you dependent on it. I guess it depends what you mean by dependent. Addicted? No. I know people that don't have ADHD can get addicted on things like Adderall. But from what I've known and from what I've been told from my doctor and everything like that, the rates of people having ADHD and getting addicted to ADHD medication are super, super low. But as far as dependent, I guess it depends what you mean. I feel dependent on it in a way. I feel like on days where I'm going to be doing a lot of tedious tasks and editing and stuff like that, I definitely feel like I am dependent on Adderall in that way. Just feeling like I feel like I'm going to need this to be able to get through the day. I mean, I could still try without Adderall. I just know that it's going to look a lot better by the end of the day if I am on Adderall that day. So I guess you can say dependent in that way. But as far as like compulsively needing my medication or feeling like shaking without it or all those other kind of signs of maybe other drugs that you take that you can feel compulsive towards, I haven't felt anything like that. And from everyone that I've talked to that has been prescribed with ADHD medication, I haven't heard anyone that has had that experience as well. And obviously you can do more research on that if that's something that you're concerned about. But in my experience and the people in my close circle and from the little research I've done, On that side of things, I haven't seen any sort of compulsive dependency. Little boy B. Braxton asks, at one point I was on ADHD medication and it often made me feel drowsy. Do you ever notice that? It honestly depends. So I've tried 2 different types of ADHD medication. I've tried Adderall and I've tried Ritalin. Adderall actually kind of helps me go to sleep. For some reason, I think it wears out my body or mind enough. So by the end of the day, I just go right to bed. It's nice, yeah. Days that I take Adderall, I actually sleep pretty well. But when I was taking Ritalin for a little bit there, for some reason it kind of made it harder to sleep. Every day that I took Adderall, I would wake up at like 3 in the morning, and I don't really know why. Honestly, medication just reacts to people's bodies different ways. There's no one same side effect or no one way that it affects everyone. So some people, Ritalin is perfect, and it's great for them. But for me, I noticed I wasn't as focused. But it also, it was harder for me to go to sleep. So as far as answering your question about the drowsiness, I think it honestly depends on your medication, the dosage, and then just how it affects your body at that time. Okay, Braxton also asks, does your medication ever alter your state of mind? Yes, it helps me focus. So yeah. Okay, Lizzie asks, what are the negatives about the medication your doctor didn't tell you that you wish you knew? My doctor honestly didn't tell me a lot of, she didn't warn me about a lot of the side effects that come with medication. She gave me a couple standard ones, but I think overall she wanted me to have my own experience with it instead of saying, okay, here's a list of problems that can go wrong and waiting for my body to maybe even create a problem. I kind of just took the medication and then came to her with any side effects that I was noticing. I don't know if that's normal, but that was my experience. And kind of like I was answering in the previous question, the side effects that it has, the main one is just anxiety, which is just after it wears off, not throughout the day, just in my experience, just after it wears off. But I think something I wish my doctor had told me earlier was the variety of ADHD medications, because I thought I could only be on Adderall, and if Adderall doesn't work out, then I'm screwed. And I think that was kind of like an all or nothing that scared me a little bit. But then after talking to my daughter, I don't have a daughter. After talking to my doctor a few months later, she mentioned that there's a bunch of different types of ADHD medication. In fact, I forgot the one that she mentioned. It's becoming a lot more popular and has a lot of the same power as Adderall, but doesn't share a lot of the same side effects. And so that's one that I'm hoping to try sometime soon. It's a little bit more expensive. So if you're going to get tested for ADHD medication, I would just ask my doctor about that, about what are the different types of ADHD medication, and just learning the differences between them. And then if one of them doesn't work, don't freak out. Kind of give yourself room to try which one does work for you, because when it works, and it's awesome. And for me, it's been a huge help as far as business goes, or working for myself, which felt impossible before, but feels a lot more controllable now for me. So yes. Okay, and the last question I'm going to answer today comes from the video that I made with my wife Mia about how ADHD has affected our relationship. You can check that out if you want. The dude asks, how did your wife take it when you were diagnosed? And he says, my wife got really anxious. So I think in my case, my wife was really supportive when I got diagnosed. I think she was maybe hesitant about medication, just worried about side effects or something that could go wrong. But honestly, for us, I think it was really beneficial because it answered a lot of questions as far as things that I had a hard time with before getting diagnosed that I thought was just a me problem. And then getting diagnosed, I think it was like, oh, wait, you have ADHD. This explains so much. And now that we know this, we can better work with this instead of just thinking, Tyler, why are you lazy? Or why are you unable to focus? Or why do you always forget things? And a lot of those kind of things that eat at you and that you think is a you problem until you find out that it's ADHD. And once you find it out, it's a lot easier to figure out how to work with it. And I think because of that, we've kind of both become more patient with it and more understanding, which has honestly been super helpful. But yeah, I can also see maybe why your spouse would feel a little anxious with getting diagnosed. I think anytime anyone's going into uncharted territories and discovering kind of something new in their life, there's always the fear of, well, what does this mean now? And how are things going to change? But honestly, I think just helping recognize that you literally aren't a different person. And honestly, I think getting diagnosed with ADHD in any form or way just helps a lot, because I think it helps you understand yourself a little bit more. So yeah, so I recommend to people all the time who are, if they're curious, if they have ADHD, I always recommend to go get diagnosed, because when you do it, it can be a really liberating thing. And in my case, it helped me be a lot less hard on myself and helped me figure out a lot more ways on how to take control of my life and to work with the ADHD instead of just in this shame cycle of blaming myself. So that's been my experience with that. Those are all the questions I have for this video. Like I mentioned, expect more regular content. And if you guys enjoyed this Q&A, please comment more questions down below. And I'll do another follow-up one if you guys have any more questions about this stuff. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. It honestly means the world. I hope this is helpful in some way. Yeah, and I'll see you guys in the next one.